So here they're asking us, what is the meaning of the phrase perfectly preserved in paragraph one? All right, so if we remember, that's when Yuri finds the mammoth, and Yuri and his son stood around the little body lying on the sandbar. They were shocked by what they'd found, a perfectly preserved baby woolly mammoth. So the test makers will know what this phrase means. Now, you could say, if you would remember, a preservative is a chemical that goes into food that makes it last a long time. And then preserves is when people take their like fruit and they put it in a canned fruit. You might hear it called preserves. So when we're talking about this baby mammoth, the meaning of the phrase perfectly preserved in paragraph one of excerpt from Baby Mammoth Mummy, Frozen in Time, shows that the baby mammoth looked exactly like it did when it died centuries ago. One piece of evidence from the text that shows, and I'm highlighting this because it's important, that the mammoth looked the same way was when Yuri was said after seeing stray dogs in town had already gnawed off the baby's tail. It's not funny. This shows that preserved means the mammoth. I might put that in, I don't know. I was going to put preserved in quotations because that's the word I'm talking about. Um, Preserved means that the mammoth was frozen to keep all of its features the same. Another piece of evidence that shows how perfectly preserved the mammoth was is when Yuri finally gets the mammoth to the researchers. The researchers were amazed that the mammoth had a smile on its face. I might reiterate, this shows that the permafrost kept the baby mammoth from rotting under the soil, thus keeping it perfectly preserved. And that is how you would answer. Well, this is really long. You would not need your answer to be this long. Okay, let me show you a shorter answer. You could even, this is shorter version. So I could simply say, I'm going to repeat my question. Um, Perfectly preserved as it is used in excerpt from Baby, Mammoth, Mummy, Frozen in Time. Make sure you put it in quotations. And actually, you don't, if you have the name of your story or excerpt in quotations, you wouldn't need to italicize it like the test makers did. But anyways, perfectly preserved as it is used in excerpt from Baby, Mammoth, Mummy, Frozen in Time. Um, I will say means that the mammoth looked exactly as it did when it died a long time ago. Um, and then we could say evidence from the text that shows it looked exactly the same is when people wanted to pay to get their pictures taken with it. People wouldn't want to take their pictures with something that was like a rotten, piece of mud or something. So it looked cool. It looked intact. That could be an example of a piece of evidence, right? Here, another piece, another example that shows the mammoth was exactly the same as when it was alive is when the researchers, let's see, what did the researchers say here? Placed in the freezer. I was fascinated with her lifelike expression. It froze like its legs were in motion. That's kind of scary. We can say is when, man, it keeps doing this to me. I don't want it to do that. Wait, is when, oh, there it goes. Is this thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, is when researchers noticed its legs looked like they had been moving. So this is what I would say um, for our written response. And so these are two answers that basically would both work. One is really long because I want to show you how you can put all the all the evidence, and the other one's shorter, obviously. All right, so our next question wants to know what the main idea is. All right, so when I look at the main idea, what is the main idea of the article? Baby mammoth, frozen in time. So now there could be several ways you write this. There can be more than one answer. So I could say the main idea, as long as I'm going to start my question like this, right? The main idea of the article excerpt from Baby Mammoth, Mummy Frozen in Time is. So here's one option. People in Siberia live in a very cold climate where it's possible to come across frozen animals that are perfectly intact with permafrost. From the permafrost, these frozen mammals are very important to researchers who can study them. That could be a main idea. And then one detail from the text that supports this main idea is when a nomadic farmer named Yuri finds a frozen mammoth. And then we could say the reader knows that the mammoth is valuable because people try to steal it from Yuri before he can get it to researchers at a museum. That's all we would really need to say here. And then next one, a family of nomads finds a frozen baby mammoth in the permafrost while hunting in Siberia, which results in a problem because other people in the village want to use the frozen mammoth for personal gain. And then I could say, this is seen in the text when Yuri and his sons find a if I use perfectly preserved, then I have to cite it. Perfectly preserved baby mammoth in the permafrost. And then I'll say line one. This, we could say, Yuri immediately knew the mammoth would be important to scientists. So he went to find a researcher to get the mammoth to safety. And then we could say another example of, we could say an example from the text of someone wanting to use the mammoth for personal gain is when Yuri's cousin sells it to a store owner. So basically, you're just saying, what was this story about? It doesn't need a big personal message. So another one you could say, the main idea of Baby Mammoth, Mummy, Frozen in Time is, let's say, is what if we say a Siberian villager makes an important scientific discovery when he finds a baby mammoth frozen in the permafrost and gets it to a safe location to be studied. And that would be an example of your main idea. And then the evidence from the text to support your response is basically anything from the story. So you could say one piece of evidence is when Yuri and his sons found it. One piece of evidence is when Yuri and his sons come across the mammoth and realize they need to get help. A piece of evidence that shows this was the main idea is when Yuri finally gets the baby mammoth to researchers at a museum and they are amazed by its smiling face. So that would be how you would answer these two written response questions and questions like them. A main idea really is just a summary statement about what the text is about, what it is showing. It doesn't have to be like vague because this is a nonfiction article, meaning it's true. So it's not going to have your usual fiction twist and literary elements. This is a true article type genre. So that's why they're asking us about the main idea. What happened?